Hello, in today's instructional video, we're going to discuss how to read in user input in the JavaScript programming language. So before we begin, let's discuss some of the programs you may have already created in CodeHS. Now, more than likely, you've created variables already, and you've already assigned values to those variables. You've predetermined what the data would be with those variables. In this example I have here, I have two variables, apples, oranges, and I have assigned the values 20 and 15 respectively. But in most cases, our programs are a lot more dynamic than that. We don't predetermine what the data is going to be in our programs. We actually allow user interaction or files to be read into those programs so that we can do something to that data, either store it, manipulate it, and then maybe output it. So what I mean by user input, we've all seen, or you should have probably seen, a window similar to this, a prompt where it may ask you for your name or what your password is. Well, this program allows the user to interact, the user to enter in data versus you creating the program and already assigning data to the variables within that program. So how do we do that in JavaScript, you may be asking? Well, we have these functions that will allow us to get user input. So if we want to get text or a string from a user, we would use the readLine function. And inside this, inside the parentheses where it says message prompt to user, we would put in our customized message. So we may ask the user, what is your name? Or enter a password, or how many cookies would you like to buy? Well, if you wanted to know how many cookies you wanted to buy, then you would want to read in an integer, because reading in an integer, read int, allows the user to type in a number. If you were to read in a true and false value, say for Boolean, you would want to use the read Boolean function. And then lastly, if you wanted to read in a number that wasn't a whole number, maybe a decimal, you would use the read float function. So we have the read line, read int, read Boolean, read float, and each one reads in a different data type. So this is what the code will look like. We would create our variable. Remember, in JavaScript, we always put the var in front of the variable name. And in the case I wanted to read in the text or string, I would use read line. Let's pretend I wanted to read in the username or the player name, LeBron James. So I would type in LeBron James when I got my prompt, and it would store it into a value, or to a variable, I should say, called player name. What if I wanted to read LeBron James' number in his jersey number? Well, then I would ask the user, hey, enter in the player's jersey number. But I would use the read int function, not the read line function, because I want a number. Again, for height, let's say his height was 81.6 inches, which I think is about 6'8". But since that 81.6 has a decimal, I would want to use the read float. And then lastly, let's say I wanted to read in from the user, hey, is this player active tonight, true or false? I would want to use the read Boolean function. So let's see what that looks like in CodeHS. So I've already created the program here, and you can use this program yourself in your sandbox. You can I'll pause right now. If I were you, I would pause the video right now and maybe copy the exact text that I have here, the code that I have here, and then put it inside your sandbox to play along. So once you have done that, let's go ahead and run the code and see what happens. So my read line should do what? Yep, if you said read in text, you're right. The read int should do what? If you said read in a number, you are also correct. Read float should read in a decimal, and read Boolean should read in a true and false value. Let's test this out. Wow, look what we have. Enter player's name, first line. Awesome. I'm going to put in LeBron James. Now, if you're not a Cavs fan or a Lakers fan or even an old Heat fan, I apologize. All right. Enter player's number. Good old 23. His height, we said, was 81.6. I'm guessing, I think he's 6'8". And then player, is he active or not? We're going to say no, he pulled his hamstring. You know, these NBA guys are so soft nowadays, he can't play. So we're going to put false, he's not active. And what do you know? Our program works successfully because we use the correct functions to get the correct data types. And remember, a data type is just a type. What type of data are you using? Are you using numbers, strings, floats, integers? Are you using Booleans? Those are our data types. All right. So you can try this yourself in the sandbox. And if you're wondering where I would find this in CodeHS, this particular lesson is under Unit 4 in the JavaScript, Programming with JavaScript unit in the APCSP curriculum. And underneath Activity 5, User Input, you'll find some practice activities as well as another instructional video. And if you're curious about the standards and the EUs and LOs being covered, here are those. And this PowerPoint will also be accessible with the link below. And here are other standards. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, keep coding.